This short webinar provides you with important information about Wisconsin's transition plan for family care, IRIS, and the legacy waivers. It's important that you make your voice count, as we all have an opportunity to give public comment on what we think of Wisconsin's plan. Wisconsin has to develop a transition plan for family care, IRIS, and the legacy waivers because the federal government created new rules for all states that operate programs like these. The new rules took effect in March of 2014, and they're focused on ensuring that community services funding is used to deliver services that truly help people be part of their community. Wisconsin Department of Health Services, which we call DHS for short, must create a transition plan to bring family care, IRIS, and the legacy waivers into line with the new rules. The new rules can mean better services for people with disabilities in Wisconsin and more opportunities to be part of your community. The new federal rules require states to ensure that people with disabilities are living and working and fully involved in their communities. The new rules say that services and supports that are paid for through family care, IRIS, and the legacy waivers must help people be part of their community. In a nutshell, the new rule says that IRIS, family care, or legacy waiver funding for community services cannot be used in places that isolate people with disabilities from their broader communities. To ensure that people are not receiving services in places that isolate them, all services must now be provided in community settings that do the following. Number one, they support access to the greater community for people receiving services. Number two, they provide opportunities for people with disabilities to seek employment and work in competitive integrated settings. Those settings are regular Wisconsin businesses where you work alongside people without disabilities and you earn at least minimum wage. Number three, the settings must provide opportunities for people to be part of community activities, not simply to have an address in a community and to live in a house in a community, but to be an active part of the activities that go on in that community. And number four, the setting must provide opportunities for people receiving services to control their own money, to control their own checkbook, to control what they do with their paycheck. So instead of taking that control away from people, services must give people the supports they need to be able to control their own money. If you receive services from family care, IRIS, or the legacy waivers, the new rules protect your rights and give you more choices if you live in a place that is owned by your service provider. If you do live in a place that is owned by your service provider, you must have a lease or a similar agreement that gives you tenant rights, just like everyone else who rents from a landlord. You must have protection from eviction. That means you must be protected from being told that you must move out of your home. You must have choice of housemates. You cannot be forced to live with people who you do not want to live with. You must have privacy. So you must have the option to have your own bedroom, and it must have a lockable door, and you must have a key to that door. It no longer should be the case that the only people who have keys to the place that you live are your support staff. You also must have freedom to decorate and furnish the place where you live in the way that you want it decorated. So if you have your own bedroom, You should be able to choose what color the walls are painted, what kind of things are hanging on the walls, how you will decorate your room. You should not be told that those decisions are up to the service provider or that you can't make those choices. Your home needs to feel like your home. It's very important that you make sure your voice is heard on the plan. Lots of things could change for the better for people with disabilities in our state, but only if we all work together to make sure Wisconsin has the best possible plan. In order to make sure your voice is heard, you need to know when the public comment period starts and how you can share your comments on Wisconsin's plan. The best way to find out about when there's a public comment period and how you can make comments is to sign up today for the Dawn Network. The Dawn Network sends out emails to people with disabilities and their allies about information that's important to them. You can sign up at www.dawninfo.org, and I will spell that out now. It is www.dawninfo.org. Your comments really do matter, and this is your opportunity to help shape the future of Family Care IRIS and the legacy waivers. One of the most important things to understand is that all community service settings funded through IRIS, Family Care, and the legacy waivers must meet the requirements in the new rule by no later than March of 2019. All states must come into compliance with the new rule by that date. It's very important to understand that this does not mean people will lose their services. People will still have access to all of the services that are available now through IRIS, Family Care, and the legacy waivers. And the funding for those services will not go away. As well, the providers continue to be approved providers of these services. You can keep your provider, you can keep your services, and the funding that has been available for those services will continue to be available. The only change that might happen is where you receive those services. The provider may have to provide the services to you in a more integrated community setting that follows the new rules and offers you the opportunities that we have talked about that are expected in the new rule. That means that we have a time to make a plan for change and a time to make sure that if new service settings are needed, that we all work together to make a nice transition for people who may have to receive their services in new settings. If you are looking for more information about the rule and how you can get involved in commenting, we encourage you to visit one of the websites listed on this slide. On the first website, www.wisconsinemploymentfirst.com, you will find a page called HCBS Settings Rule. If you go to that page, you will be able to find a longer webinar like this that gives you more information, plus up-to-date information on Wisconsin's transition plan. You can also go to the federal government's web page around the new rule change. That is www.medicaid.gov/HCBS. One more place you might want to visit is a website that has been set up to track all states in our country and what they are doing around their transition plans and coming into line with the new rule. That website is www.hcbsadvocacy.org. On that site, you can click on Wisconsin or any state and see the latest information. Thank you for tuning in.